What does it truly mean to be strong? Many people imagine strength as something loud and dramatic, like the heroes we see in movies. But real strength often looks very different. It is quiet, patient, and built through hardship. It shows itself when someone keeps standing even after life knocks them down again and again. The life story of Chuck Norris is a powerful example of this kind of strength. Before he became a martial arts legend and Hollywood icon, he was simply a boy named Carlos Ray Norris. His early life was filled with poverty, fear, and uncertainty, yet those painful experiences shaped the determination that would later define him. A childhood hidden in silence. Carlos Ray Norris was born in the small town of Ryan, Oklahoma. It was a quiet place where life moved slowly, but behind the walls of his family's small, worn-down house, life was anything but peaceful. The Norris family struggled with poverty, and every day was a reminder of how little they had. The house carried an atmosphere of tension and fear that a young child could sense but not fully understand. Chuck grew up learning how to stay quiet and avoid conflict. Instead of carefree childhood memories, he remembered long nights filled with worry and uncertainty, wondering when the next argument or outburst would shatter the fragile calm. The shadow of a broken father, Chuck's father, Ray Norris, had once served his country proudly, but the war left deep emotional scars that changed him forever. When he returned home, he was no longer the same man who had left. Instead of healing from the trauma of war, he turned to alcohol as an escape. The drinking slowly consumed him, and with it came anger and instability. The house that should have been a safe place for a family became unpredictable and frightening. Nights were often filled with shouting and chaos. For young Chuck, the loudest sound in the house was not always his father's voice, but the pounding of his own heart, fear in the hallways. Life inside the Norris home felt like walking through a battlefield. Chairs scraping across the floor and heavy footsteps in the hallway often signaled another storm of anger. Chuck and his brothers learned early how to avoid drawing attention. Silence became their shield. Instead of playing freely like other children, they watched carefully and waited for the tension to pass. These experiences forced Chuck to grow up faster than most children. He developed a quiet resilience, learning how to survive emotionally in an environment where fear was always present. Though he didn't realize it yet, those early lessons were slowly shaping the determination he would later rely on. The light of a courageous mother. In the darkness of those difficult years, Chuck's mother, Wilma, was the family's only constant source of love and stability. She carried the heavy responsibility of caring for 3 young boys while trying to hold the family together. Despite their financial struggles, she did everything she could to provide food and comfort. Sometimes she hid small amounts of money just to make sure there was something for groceries. Her faith was strong, and she often prayed for her children's future. To Chuck, she represented hope. Even when everything around them felt unstable, her quiet strength reminded him that compassion and perseverance still mattered. A moment of courage. As Chuck grew older, the fear he felt inside the house slowly turned into something different. By the time he was 14, he had endured years of tension and uncertainty. One night, his father's anger exploded more violently than usual. In that moment, Chuck felt something shift inside him. Instead of hiding, he stepped forward to protect his mother. Though his hands trembled and fear filled his chest, he refused to move aside. That moment became a silent promise to himself. He decided he would never become the kind of man who spread fear and pain. It was the beginning of his transformation, leaving the past behind. Eventually, the chaos inside the Norris home became too much for Wilma to endure. When Chuck was 16, she made the difficult decision to leave. Gathering what little they owned, she took her sons and moved away from the life that had caused them so much pain. Their destination was California. It was not a place that guaranteed success or happiness, but it offered something they had never truly experienced before, a chance for a fresh start. For Chuck, the move meant more than just changing locations. It meant finally escaping the constant tension that had shaped his childhood for so long. Breathing for the first time, life in California was still far from easy. The family continued to struggle financially, and the memories of the past did not disappear overnight. Yet something important had changed. For the first time in years, Chuck felt like he could breathe without fear hanging over every moment. The silence in their new home felt peaceful instead of threatening. Though the scars of his childhood remained, they slowly began to transform into motivation rather than pain. Chuck carried those experiences with him, not as burdens, but as reminders of the kind of life he wanted to build for himself in the future. Searching for direction. Like many young people trying to escape a difficult past, Chuck searched for a place where he could belong. At 18 years old, he made a decision that would change the course of his life. He enlisted in the United States Air Force. For him, joining the military was not about glory or recognition. It was about structure and discipline. After years of chaos at home, he longed for an environment where rules and order created stability. The Air Force gave him exactly that. It also sent him far from everything familiar, opening the door to experiences that would shape his future in unexpected ways. A new world in South Korea. Chuck was eventually stationed in South Korea, thousands of miles away from his childhood home. The country felt unfamiliar and overwhelming at first. The culture, language, and surroundings were all different from what he had known before, but within that unfamiliar environment, Chuck discovered something that would forever change his life. On the military base, he encountered martial arts training for the first time. At first, he felt awkward and uncertain. He was not naturally confident or aggressive. In fact, he often struggled during the early training sessions, yet each fall on the mat sparked something inside him that refused to give up. Forged through discipline. Martial arts quickly became more than just a physical activity. It became a way for Chuck to channel the emotions he had carried since childhood. Every practice session demanded focus, patience, and determination. At first, failure was common. He missed techniques, lost balance, and struggled to keep up with others. But the discipline of training taught him something powerful. Progress comes from persistence. Instead of walking away when things became difficult, Chuck kept returning to the mat. Each challenge strengthened his body and sharpened his mind. Slowly, the shy young airman began transforming into a disciplined and confident martial artist. Conclusion: the birth of a fighter. The early life of Chuck Norris was not the glamorous story many people imagine when they see a Hollywood legend. It was a story of hardship, fear, and perseverance. The struggles of his childhood did not destroy him, they shaped him. The courage of his mother, the escape from a painful home, and the discipline he discovered in the Air Force all played crucial roles in his transformation. Long before he became a famous actor or martial arts champion, Chuck Norris had already fought some of the toughest battles of his life. Those battles forged the inner strength that would eventually inspire millions around the world.